what you see out of Flaherty, and what went into the decision to leave him in as long as you did in that third inning?
He wasn't sharp, clearly. He was, he's been fighting something. He's been under the weather a little bit. So I don't know if that bled into the stuff, the velocity. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Jack. Right there, looking at the game, we have 5 leverage innings. And so a couple guys were down, Caspias and Henriquez. So you've essentially got 5 leverage innings. And you're talking about we're down 3-1 at the time. And, you can't cover the game with leverage and being down. So you're trying to get some outs. And after the walks in that third inning, and then Marte, you're still at that point trying to cover 7 innings. And so he gives up the double. And then so for me at 5-1, I'm not going to deploy our leverage guys knowing that there's a cost on the back end, and appreciating the fact that there's still more baseball to play in the series. So you've got to those are thoughts that went through my head. But I think for me, I have 5 leverage guys that I wanted to make sure that, you got to deploy at the right time.
Dylan?
Dave, is the situation one basically, given like how the limited number of innings you've been getting out of your starters, the limited number of, again, these leverage relievers, that you can't use any of those guys basically if you're not ahead or maybe tied?
It's not always fun when you're going through it. Certainly from anyone's chair, certainly my chair, but you have to kind of remain steadfast in how you use your pitchers, because ultimately it's about winning 4 games in a 7-game series. And so when you're careless, then it'll show itself at some point, certainly in a long series. So in that point, with our leverage guys, mainly Blake and Evan, it's just not responsible in that point of the game for me. And so Honeywell did a fantastic job saving everyone, and knowing we've got a bullpen game coming up in Game 6 as well. So there's that part of it too.
Pages, how encouraging was it to see that? And I think Manaea got him a couple times, right? Struck him out a couple times last time. But do you expect him to be in the lineup in Game 6 after?
I expect him to be in there, and he took great at bats. So I think for us, obviously seeing all their guys, it was a must-win for them. Getting those guys extended, Diaz in there for 2 innings, all that stuff certainly matters. But obviously, with Andy, his game allowed for Peterson to go a little bit shorter, which was great.
Andy?
Dave, just jumping on Dylan's earlier question, I mean, you know what your offense is capable of. You know how their bullpen is a bit short. Like, how painful was it for you to have to maintain that discipline tonight?
It's tough, and I can't. I wish I can predict Andy's going to hit 2 homers tonight. But if you can kind of think through the game as I do, left with 3 innings potentially of low leverage guys, you're still in a position, and you're not certain how the game's going to play out. But you do know that there's a cost for the ensuing games. So I think those are bets that I got to make and watch the game. But it was good to see our guys fight back. Certainly offensively, we're in a really good spot.
Bill, down here in the front.
David, I want to ask what you're seeing out of Freddie, and given he's trying so hard, but is there a thought that maybe at this point it's just not as effective as he'd like it to be, and he might have to sit out for Game 6?
I'm going to have a conversation with him tomorrow, but I do think that his swing is not right, and I'm certain it's the ankle. So, we'll have that conversation, but it's certainly an option to not have him in there for Game 6, yes.
We'll do 2 more. Jay on the middle aisle, and then we'll finish with Pete.
Yeah, it seemed like there were a couple plays there in the early innings where Mookie Betts was having a bit of an adventure out in right field. Thinking the Lindor triple and the Winker hit. Did you see anything that was off about those?
I thought on the one, I thought it should have been a glove play, and I think he tried to barehand it, took his eye off the ball, which allowed for one of those guys to score instead of securing it, getting the ball in the infield. I don't recall the other one exactly, but he's as good as they get out in right field. But certainly, I know the barehand play, that's got to be made cleanly and getting back into the infield for sure.
We'll finish up with Pete in the middle on the left side.
Dave, you talked this morning about the importance of scoring first. It looked like in the first inning you had it set up the way you wanted it.
We did. Infield back, corners in. That's a situation that, Shohei's got to go on the ball in the middle of the infield. And I think he just locked up there. And, it's no excuse. But I do think that there's some momentum part of it where, they ended up getting out of that first inning and allowed to build some momentum as opposed to, getting a 1-0 lead in the top of the first.
All right, thanks, Doc. We'll see you back
Yep.
in LA.
All right, thanks, guys.